I am he, and you are thee, and we are all together. I can't see you.
Okay, well, we're going to have to do the ritual. Take 500.
Cuckoo, cuckoo.
I cannot see you.
Well, I just...
There we go.
This is a great advertising for Microsoft, by the way.
Thank you, Bill Gates.
Yeah. All right. This is Mile High View, formerly known as Mile High View. Now we are nothing but coach killers in the building, okay? Because that's the team we seem to have inherited next to the Dub Airs. They're another coach killing organization. So it sounds like this is a game nobody wants to watch. The nation has spoken, and we do not want to watch that game. Do you blame them?
Do I blame them?
Yeah, Bucket Man, do you blame them?
No.
Yeah, no, nobody wants to. And we got to watch the film.
I think that's all I'm going to watch. I'm not going to watch the game.
I work, so...
So do I, thank goodness.
So we have some opposing views on, how this game's going to go, and that's good. I think you're probably... Well, I mean, no matter who we... no matter who we say is going to win this game, we're probably giving that team more credit than we should. Oh, boy. God. So we'll talk about that. I want to start with this, though. I want you to, hopefully everybody can hear this. Because there's something, been going on about. We got a guy that goes around, pisses people off, and people outside of us make a YouTube video, says, "Get off my YouTube." It's about a guy, Seb. And when the guy made that video about him, oddly enough, Dallas Cowboy fans came chiming in and saying, this is the guy that's been going on the Dallas circuit, shaming Cowboy fans. So, I said, it's like this guy's like, it's almost as if he's hired. They roll him out, when the Broncos obviously get punked, 70 points laid on them. They don't do very good during the season. Matter of fact, they make our predictions correct, not the 12-win prediction, so on and so forth. They roll this guy out, and he wraps himself with Elway, and then he starts shaming everybody. And I said, I equate it to like the back in the day of slavery, where the slave owner would have that one guy that would say, "How dare you? How dare you?" When the slaves get uppity, "Oh, how dare you? He puts a roof over your head. How dare you? How dare you? You're not a good slave." That's kind of how I feel this Seb is. He plays that role when the Broncos become the Broncos, and the fans rightfully get pissed off. He gets rolled out and starts shaming everybody, right? Does it seem like that?
Well, I mean, I don't know why we're engaging with somebody who doesn't really know anything about football, number one. Number two,
yeah, he doesn't care about football.
Well,
yeah, he doesn't.
Well, you said it in your video. I don't engage with people like that. I mean, I just do my film breakdowns and I coach. He can't even... Like I said, I don't engage with people like that, and I don't want to, because those people... Those type of people, all they're into is the fan gear and all that good stuff. So I mean, they can pom their way to saying they're this, they're that. I really don't care.
It's almost like psychological warfare. But this is what a real Bronco fan sounds like. I think it's you. I think this is you on ES. You made it to ESPN. I can't believe it. This has to be you.
I didn't take the clot shot, so obviously I didn't make it to ESPN.
Yeah.
Thank you, Taylor Swift.
Okay, so yes, Taylor. If you push that, you get a date with Taylor Swift. I always thought Taylor Swift was a set of golf clubs. I thought my friend, he had a set of Taylor Swifts in his garage. Out on the par 3 there with his Taylor Swifts,
I said the same thing to my mother, whose basement I live in. So
Live from our parents' basement. Da, 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 da.
Absolutely.
Oh, so anyway, Bucket Man here made it on ESPN. Now, just take a listen to this.
If I make my day, you ought to take that field goal to tie the record. Because see, I do you. See, here's the thing, Stephen A. See, when I beat you bad like this, I do you a favor. I let you know from top to bottom, you're not good enough. Whoever picked this talent, not good enough. You're not good enough. The talent on the field is not good enough. That's what that told me. The first time in NFL history, you got 300 yards passing, 350 yards passing, 350 yard rushing. A guy goes over 200 yards on 18 carries. 70 points with 8 minutes to go. Now, hold on. Sean Payton came in here with his chest all out. That was the worst coaching exhibition I had ever seen. Yes. And you just got 70 dropped on your dome. A 50 piece and 20 extra flats at no charge. A 70 spot. This is unacceptable. What is so embarrassing to me is that all the hype that came around, all this money you making. The Peter Walton family has spent an enormous amount of money. It's not good enough. And stop telling me it's not Russell's fault. I'm not saying that it is Russell's fault, but Russell is allowed to score more than 20 points. Just because the other team scores 70, that doesn't mean that you can't. The Broncos right now, the talent is not good enough. The coaching is not good enough. The scouting department is not good enough. The only thing good enough is the owners, because they've invested a ton of money to build this roster, to get the best coaches, and that yesterday was unacceptable.
Other than the owner part.
That's exactly what I was going to say. You took the words out of my mouth.
Other than the owner part, that sounded a lot like a real fan out there. You know, it sounded like you. I thought it was you until he said the owner part. I could have sworn that was you.
Well, I just wanted to.
How come it's acceptable? How come I want to see this guy come out and say he's not a fan for saying all this stuff? He can't. Oh, you can't say that. You can't say all that stuff.
Well, I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't understand why we're hung up on this fan status. I mean, I'm not really into that.
So
I mean,
saying that you're right, and that's just the point. The point is, you have fans really have a right to be pissed off, whether we're talking about it or not. They have every right, and we don't need to listen to some guy that goes around the circuit shaming fans all over the place. You know, Dallas fans, Bronco fan, whatever fan he's hired to shame, I guess.
Well, you know, I mean, he can do that all he wants, and quite frankly, do I give a shit? Really? I mean, I don't care. I mean, I don't understand why we're hung up on this guy who, you know, doesn't scout, who doesn't coach, who doesn't know the game. I don't understand why we're hung up on this guy. He could call me out all he wants. Quite frankly, I don't give a shit. So I don't understand why we're so focused on this. I'm doing this to talk the game of football. I mean, that's what I'm good at, and that's my talent. I'm not here to talk about a fan that doesn't know the game of football. So I don't. Sorry. I mean, that might hurt some folks, but I don't give a shit about fan status.
No, nor was this channel ever set up that way. There's just some background noise out there, but I just want to say, you start, you know, I'm just saying to the audience, if anybody starts getting into the fan, you can walk away into that stuff and just get into film. And I mean, I left a comment on Kruger, and the guy to me is a fraud. He breaks down film, kind of, sort of. It wasn't even the all-22, but then he says, leave a comment. Well, I leave a comment. And I said, well, you didn't mention all this holding. And I said, right in your own video, this guy, McGlinchey's taking down the defensive end here, just a literal takedown. You can see it, and you can see it even better on the all-22 from the end zone camera. It's a pure takedown. Up, deleted. Well, if you're not going to have a discussion, that was a football discussion to be had. That wasn't about fandom. That was football. I find it very. I mean, I think these people are paid. I mean, they're really paid just to put out crap. And not that, just to be honest, and that had to do with Jack Kruger going on about it wasn't Russell's fault. And fine, you know, the holding isn't his fault, right? He's not the one holding. I get that. But still, at the same time, in the context of the quarterback getting better, it has to be discussed. You know, that this line is, and I really hope, and I'm going to get into the Chicago Bears in a minute. Well, I just really hope Chicago emphasizes that and says, look, we got we can't put up with that. We got people's jobs on the line.
Well, the one thing I will say, I want to address the latest video that you did before this one about how everybody knew the scouting department and the front office was trash. Then why was it the draft picks that have turned out to be garbage, you guys continue to cheerlead? I mean, you can look at my own work.
They cheerlead them until they have to actually play.
Until they actually have to kill them, like they kill all these quarterbacks. And coaches and all the above and these players. You don't understand the true aspects of the scouting and the team management and the player personnel aspect if you're out there still cheerleading this shit. That's the part that I don't understand and I can't comprehend. That's number one. Number two, you can go, and I'm not going to pound my own chest, but I have to say this. The players that I've scouted, yes, I've been wrong on some of them, but you go look at my scouting work on this channel, on my channel, all the above, my BitChute channel. I mean, my God. I mean, you have Jalen Carter killing it with the Eagles right now. You have Jordan Davis killing it with the Eagles right now. And I understand those are blue chip prospects. But look at the JoJo Domans from Nebraska who went to the Colts. Go look at those type of players. But it's just the whole aspect of free agency, the player personnel. You say that you've known that all along. We're in 2023, and the Broncos haven't been relevant since 2015, 2016. But you've known all along, really?
Well, they took asterisk. They took a sharp decline in 2016. It may have been relevant, but man, it was.
But this is where I will disagree with you. At least I knew the identity on both sides of the ball during that time with the Gary Kubiak West Coast. I mean, Trevor Siemian looked fine under Gary Kubiak. He was a Gary Kubiak quarterback.
Yes.
But I agree with you. The offense and defensive lines were going like this. The player personnel was going like that. But you had opportunities to build that back up. But what did the Broncos do? They continued the downward trend and they continued their PR. And, these PR people, these PR people are always wrong, dude. They're always wrong. Why would I waste my time with people that are always wrong and engage with people that actually want to have a football discussion, just like what you brought up with the Kruger guy?
Yeah.
There's nobody out there that want to have a legitimate football discussion. All they want to talk about is quarterbacks, receivers. Yes. Hype.
Yeah, I wasn't the only. I'm sure you only had 12 comments posted. I'm sure I wasn't the only comment that he deleted. So if you can't have a conversation with it, that means these people are up to no good, really. Now back. This is again content creating. Now, see if you've heard this before. Here we go. This is Sandy Clough had to leave 104 to be even able to address this. By the way, here we go.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Hey, Sean, the same much bigger problem than Vance Joseph. It's an organizational and player personnel problem. A lot of these players on the Broncos are overhyped. Yep. There's no accountability in this organization. Broncos need to blow it up and hire a GM and coach that are in lockstep. There's an identity problem in this organization and the product on the field. They need to blow up the front office, identify talent, get better, know how to do that. This team hasn't been consistent with draft and developing players since Bolin was the owner.
That's my comment.
Well,
that's my comment right there. That's my comment. I submitted that.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, now this is what I want to say. That has to be addressed. They can't just ignore that. That has to be addressed. But my question is, this is 44 minutes into this. I just heard Shannon Sharp basically say the same thing. Basically. Outside of that, in this, how come these people aren't leading that charge? How come? Because they can't say anything about the front office. So these were comments that they had to bring up. Oh, I'm sure they're going to hear about that.
That's the comment. That's the comment that I submitted into, because I was listening to them, and that's the comment that I texted into their hotline. That's my text message.
Okay. So I want to play the response, okay? But
okay. I haven't heard the response, so.
Okay, my take is, how come we're not hearing more? You're never going to hear this with those content creators. 104.3, Oakley, Dokley, Stokely. They start kind of getting in that, then they start backing everybody off. Oh, no. It's too early for that. And then Bubble Man goes to Broncos Reddit, their very own Reddit page, and they're like, what does 8 years have to do with anything? Like, I mean, really? Yeah. Coming from the people that work for the front office, of course, they would say that, because the word Adam Peters, I will play their response here, but I'm going to say the word Adam Peters, and you're the one that needs to take a bow. This is specifically, you're the Adam Peters guy. You know, you've been the one pounding the tables for Adam Peters. But I'm telling you that the word Adam Peters, they are going to try to stop that at every chance they can, because I think the word Adam Peters for that front office is like a vampire to a cross, a vampire to a wooden stake, a werewolf to a silver bullet. I mean, I think that's a feared name, because they know that Adam Peters is another language meaning the end of them. Because there's no way Adam Peters. Okay, well, I'm gonna get into their comment, because I got a comment about their comment.
Yep. Okay.
Adam Peters is the key name and all of that,
Right.
And
There's a lot of
I'm not suggesting that there's a quick fix, because the problem with the Broncos and through the years, 16 through 23 apparently, is an absolute obsession with a quick fix. Right? Sean Payton, quick fix. He'll turn it around overnight. Russell Wilson, quick fix. Every time the Broncos have a bad year, which is every year for the last 7 years now, pretty much. Well, we can fix it. We can fix it. One hire will fix it. One trade will fix it. One free agency signing will fix it. One draft will fix it. They're into the quick fix. But the first move they need to make is to hire and empower fully Adam Peters, with John Lynch now having signed, along with Kyle Shanahan, new long-term contract extensions with the San Francisco 49ers. Adam Peters is the best general manager who is not a general manager currently in the National Football League. He is ready. He has been interviewed by a multitude of teams down through the years. The 49ers keep him by giving him raises every year and saying, you can do better, you can do better, you can do better. And he loves it here. He loved his time here. His wife loves it here. And he would be the man not only to hire, but to empower
Sean Payton,
regardless of whether Sean Payton is the head coach or not. And I wouldn't care if Sean Payton accepted that or not. Sean Payton worked for Mickey Loomis, who he calls his best friend in life, in New Orleans. Loomis was general manager.
I like that idea.
You bring in Adam Peters. Adam Peters is easy to work
sit
with.
the guys in the room and say, figure it out. That's how it is.
That's right. But Adam Peters runs the show, and the Broncos have a chance to get out of this hole. Otherwise, frankly, they don't, with or without George Payton, with or without Sean Payton.
How about this number, Lee?
Okay. That has been probably the most sense that has ever been said from the content creators. But he had to leave 104 to say that. You're not allowed to say that, because the front office has all these content creators. They created them. Now let's go to Adam Peters. There is no way in hell that they'll ever get Adam Peters if, number one, John Elway thinks he's going to be able to lurk around, in the shadows, hiding under a desk, whatever it is, what Sean Payton said. We had the 12-year-old, what is that guy, Stevens? What's that 12-year-old's name from DNVR?
Zach Stevens. I mean,
we had the 12-year-old asking Sean Payton at a press conference, now that John Elway's gone, what do you think about that? And Sean Payton said, yeah, obviously he's still here. Obviously he still has an office here, and I just can't wait to take all kinds of advice from him. Oh, wait a minute, Sam. Oh, you're wrapping Elway around you? Okay. No, we're going to talk football. We're going to talk front office here. This is where the only place that'll talk front office, because we don't fear the front office. Okay. So there's no way Adam Peters is ever going to step foot in Dove Valley unless that front office, there's no John Elway lurking around on texting his buddies. All his executive hires have to be gone. Adam Peters is going to have to rebuild the front office. That's the first thing, not just scouts. He's going to have to be in charge of rebuilding the front office. That's if the owners have a clue to even think about hiring. And I'm going to tell you right now, the words Adam Peters is, like I said, a vampire to a cross. It's a silver bullet to a werewolf. They will try to do everything. They'll probably even go to Sean Payton and try to talk him out of it. Just don't let that happen, because they know they're cooked. Their goose is cooked if that happens, because there's no way Adam Peters is ever going to step foot there unless that is cleared out. And Adam Peters is able to actually do his job, build that front office the way it's supposed to be, scouting department, everything. And just say, and again, the owners would have to tell Sean Payton is that, this is the guy you got to answer to. Well, I'm making all this money. See, it seems to me that Sean Payton is becoming more and more a part of the problem. It's almost, this is the thing that gets me. When I turn on the content creators, they're talking about Russell Wilson. They're talking about Sean Payton. And it's just, and they won't talk about anything else. And it's like, this has been now, how many years? 8 years of the same thing. If it's not them, it was, Drew Lock, it was Teddy Bridgewater, it was Nathaniel Hackett, it was Fangio, on and on. It was Case. It's just the problem. There's a thread in all of that. And the thread is the front office. And it just made one what I call a panic move after another. Because as Sandy Clough said, it was all quick fixes. It was a quick fix mentality. John Elway thought, he thought he could go ahead, tear it down, and rebuild it with a bunch of Menelik Watsons, for instance, and on. The other hot tub time machines. Joe Flacco, what I'm saying? It was always one quick fix after another, and it's still perplexing. I think Bubble Man had it right. I think that you had people shouldn't poo-poo Scangarello. It just, I think, out of dumb luck, they had Mike Munchak, they had the running backs coach, they had Fangio really is the DC. I mean, let's really be honest. And this guy was able to get it together in the last, and I'm not talking the last 2 games that they love to say, with Russell Wilson. He got it together in 2 games. The last quarter of the season. They got it together. They were, it looked like if they just started to keep moving in that direction. But I don't think it would have ever worked, because I think the front office would have had to have left in order for that Mike Munchak Scangarello thing to ever have worked.
So
you'd have to bring in Adam Peters. So that was never going to.
Go ahead, finish it.
Oh, that's it.
Okay, so to finish your point, I think a lot of people, and I think this is in today's society, and basically I think this has affected a lot of, prominent teams in both, college, NFL, high school, list goes on and on. I think people want the quick fixes. They want the now. They want the now, the now, what I want it now. That's basically what I'm trying to get at. They don't want the long-term success. They want the short-term satisfaction. And I think that I'm going to correlate this to their college football team with Deion up there in Boulder. I think Deion's trying to do the same John Elway approach, these quick fixes, all this, that, and the third. I don't think he's into the long-term building aspect of what Michigan, dude. I saw Michigan come into Nebraska today, and Matt Rule even said he wants to be like Michigan, but he knows that it's going to take years for them to get where Michigan is at right now. Jim Harbaugh's been at Michigan for 8-9 years, dude. You think that happened overnight, or do you think that happened with multiple recruiting classes, building an identity, building a culture, going out, getting the players that you want? That's what I'm trying to say that the Denver Broncos need to do. I don't think that a lot of owners today are what Pat Bowlen was, which was he gave the front office and coaches that were in lockstep, that long-term longevity that built up the great teams that we saw with the Broncos. In my personal opinion, I don't think you get that anymore. I think people want the quick fix. The NFL owners want quick fix. Look at Carolina. Look at the owner for Carolina. Oh, we're going to go get Frank Wright. We're going to go draft the quarterback. That's going to fix our problems. They still look like shit.
Yeah, I think I think it's just going to come down to time. That again,
Yes.
That they'll find out the hard way that doesn't work that way. Look at Kansas City, the Hunts. They did it the right way. Going back to Alex Smith, and I was always looking at our division, and they were building it again from the inside out type of approach. They were getting the key player personnel, and then behind them, key player personnel. They got Alex Smith, and they were getting success. I think what I noticed, though, is that they had a lot of injuries at that time. They were going through a couple of seasons, maybe 3, with a lot of injuries.
But again, you're gonna go through those lumps. You're gonna go through those hills and valleys before you get that consistent climb to the mountain.
They never lost sight of what they were doing. And once that they got through the injury thing, they really started clicking. And then they got obviously Mahomes as a kid that fits the system that they're running in.
They got Mahomes, but they still value those important aspects that make Mahomes great, which is stability, which is they're not going through offensive coordinators and coaches and head coaches left and right.
Yeah.
Their offensive line is
and this is before he got here. This is before he got here.
I know, but I'm saying but I'm talking about now in 2023 where we're at. They haven't lost sight of the aspects that made that built them up to be where they're at now.
No, because all those people are still in place behind.
Exactly, they didn't run out an Adam Peters. They didn't. They have a ownership group that is, gives the coaches and the scouting department, and they have an excellent scouting department.
The general manager.
Yes. They give those guys leeway. The Andy Reid in that scouting department is in lockstep. I mean, the Broncos are so far away from that. That's the part that we know the player personnel has been bad. Really, you do, because you don't talk about the aspects that we talk about in terms of what we just talked about. I mean, honestly to God, the Broncos player personnel on all 3 levels is horrendous.
Yeah.
They're terrible. They just gave up 70 points, and it should have been 73.
Well, what they didn't hear that I played on that broadcast, they were talking about how there are no leaders. Well, you just heard Shannon Sharp basically say there's nobody on that team that understands.
There's no alpha dog on that team.
Well, let me also explain why. They come from a culture that's anti-Semitic, I guess, anti to the culture. Me and you were just got done talking about Kansas City is what they're involved in that slow approach of
the slow burn, the slow building. But
slow build. They all come from that, and then out of that, and as a coach, that's where you find your players. That's where you find
consistency.
But this is where you find who your leaders are.
Yes.
Talking about Aqib Talib, who granted was brought in as a quick fix in a sense. But not really, because it had to do with the getting Sean Payton, and then the rest of them came. But Khalid said to players, he said, they would be practicing, and he'd say, "I don't care where you came from. I don't care what you were taught. We go full speed here. We don't screw around. We go full speed. You're never here a Justin Simmons." They wonder how could Justin Simmons possibly tell somebody that? When he's like the anti-full speed guy, he's like, playing, like I said, goalie for Manchester United somewhere.
Okay, you bring up the point about Aqib Talib. We don't practice like that. Who set that standard?
Well, he was one of the leaders on the.
I know, but what Aqib Talib is a microcosm of who set that standard.
Well, Pat Bowlen was
Pat Bowlen, the front office on down. It was a trickle effect down from Pat Bowlen on down.
well, then that didn't have anything to do with Elway. When I say
no. Elway was trying to tear that up. He wanted to hire Vance Joseph as his defensive coordinator.
Oh, I know. You can't. I know.
It wasn't Wade Phillips. It was Vance Joseph.
Yeah. Well, the Broncos have got firing coaches down to a art. I mean, they hire retread coaches so they can refire them again. So, I just don't know what the ownership is if they will ever get a clue on this, or
I don't trust it. I think they're more into the
whispering in their ear from the very start of all this thing. It was the truck.
Yeah.
It was all the people.
It was the front. It was the people that they took over for.
Yeah, and every year it's just a bigger disaster. And I was getting into this, that Sean Payton almost seems like to be just the same, just more of the same, like a guy that came here. It's that other coach that
I think.
How come? Okay, let me ask you this. This is when I'm surprised we didn't even jump on this. I mean, even we dropped the ball on this one, I think. When Sean Payton started calling out Nathaniel Hackett, we should have blew a gasket right then and there. We should have said, why aren't you calling every one of those players out? By calling out Nathaniel Hackett, you're just covering for them. You're doing what Nathaniel Hackett came in, exactly as Nathaniel Hackett did, not calling out the players and blaming, that last coach. Oh, it was that last coach.
Not blaming the front office, not blaming the scouting department, not blaming the people that drafted and. Yeah, no. Sean Payton to me is a microcosm of the New Orleans Saints organization. I think he's a John Elway head coach. He was on a leash while in New Orleans by Mickey Loomis and Jeff Ireland. The person that doesn't get talked about this is Jeff Ireland. I would feel more comfortable if a Jeff Ireland was here paired with Sean Payton, not a Adam Peters with Sean Payton, because those two don't mesh.
The same thing you'd have to do the same thing with Jeff Ireland. You would have to fire every single person and have
exactly. Yes, yes, but I'm talking. Yes, exactly. But what I'm talking about is everybody wants to bring up Adam Peters. You could have brought Adam Peters a long time ago. If you had Rich Scangarello still here and he was the head coach, bring in Adam Peters. Oh my gosh, that would be great. But I'm talking about the systematical approach that this team doesn't have. They have no identity on all three levels of their team. Okay. I would probably do more. Ownership, front office, scouting department, head coach, defense coordinator, offense coordinator, special teams, all the way down to the toilet bowl cleaner. They don't have an identity at all. It's into the quick fixes. Well, and again,
even Sandy Clef had to agree with it. They have no identity. They haven't.
Well, of course he had to agree with it because he's not at 104.3 The Fan. I can actually stomach Sandy Clef now more than I did when he was at 104.3 The Fan, because he wasn't allowed to say that stuff because Elway would give them the talking scripts.
Well, I read his paragraph about leaving, and he said, we're involved directly with these teams and indirectly with these teams. That was fun. And maybe probably a lesser degree now. But by far. But yeah, so these teams know where, but what I don't understand is they'll go after the Rockies in ways that they'll never go after the Broncos,
And that's why we're here.
Exactly. And then they have to pipe in the message to them, and that's the obvious fix. It's not.
Everybody wants to say, "Well, we already knew that," but you still cheerlead it. You still cheerlead it every year. It's not like you.
Real fans know that. I'm not.
Yes, but I'm not talking about the real fans. I'm talking about
the Walmart General.
Yes. The Walmart General fans. You say we've known that, but you still cheerlead it. And I'm not. You don't have to go in like us. We go we're like You said it best, Chopped Liver. We break down the engine all the way down to its core. That's what we do. We're not asking you to be that, but what we're asking you is to hold these people accountable. Hold the players accountable. Hold them accountable. Say enough is enough. We don't accept this garbage. Under Pat Bowlen, we didn't accept this garbage.
No, and that's why they say, well, you're a Bronco fan. How can you show all the holding? When I played, I went to the other team because they had a wide receiver I was up against, and he was just jogging out there. And I said to the other, I told him, you got to bench him. You got to bench him. And you got to put somebody in there who's going to play because it's just a waste of my time. As a fan, I want to see my offensive line correctly devour the defensive lineman. I want to see the correct techniques. I want to see when in this case Russell Wilson, I want to see the quarterback making those throws, not because they got away with a holding. Asterisk. Okay. Jack Kruger. These things have to be discussed. Okay. So
I want my defense flying around hitting people. I want my linebackers in the correct technique position of being in coverage, because that's the most important thing out of the linebackers, in my personal opinion, is coverage linebacking. I want my defensive line to light a fire under their ass and providing that push up the middle and trying to lay their other quarterback out. That's what real football is all about. Not this pom-pom, Patrick Surtain's the best corner, Justin Simmons is the best safety in the league, when those two absolutely are not the best at their positions. Absolutely not.
Well, and you know what? We got a problem across the board with secondary work. It's not what it used to be.
No.
It's this.
I would say, you know what, Chop Liver, I would say the same thing about linebacking.
Oh yeah, yes. No, there's no Gradishars, Tom Jacksons, Jack Lamberts,
Al Wilson's.
I mean, you could keep going on and those guys. Yeah. It just,
they're few and far between. And if you get a Fred Warner, oh my goodness, you're like San Francisco in the middle. You have a Drew Greenlaw next to him. You're absolutely if you were a 49ers fan and you know that you have that defensive line, you have that coverage linebacking, you can have mediocre secondary at best, because you don't need the best corners in the league, supposedly, because corners, like you said, I think that's a discussion we need to have right here, right now, about how secondary isn't what it used to be. You have no Champ Bailey anymore that can play all three levels, left, right, slot.
Mel Blount, no.
Louis Wright.
Deion Sanders. And Deion Sanders, although asterisk, he couldn't tackle his way out of a paper bag.
But the one thing that he did was lock down his side of the field correctly.
Okay, that's what that video we listened to of Sandy Clough, they were talking. One of the players said, well, there's no really any lockdown corners anymore. Why is that? Because they're not trained from high school how to play the position. It's not about the evolution. I call it the de-evolution of the game. There's no excuse for it. And we used to drill. You know how we used to drill for that is that we would do cover drills. And it didn't mean cover like basketball. You're covering, you're guarding, the receiver,
you're guarding your man. You're guarding
No. We ran cover drills where we had to look at and the linebackers had to do it, safeties and the corners all had to do it. And we did cover drills, and we'd have guys, they'd go running out routes, and we had to keep looking at the quarterback, and it was 7-on-7 and 11-on-11. 9, we would be, the full Monty. We'd run cover drills, and if we took our eyes and put them on our target, which would be a receiver or tight end, whoever who's getting covered, blow the whistle, do it again. You got to keep your eyes on the quarterback, got to keep your eyes on the car, and get the feel for where you are in relationship to what you're seeing, where your guy's at, so you can jump those routes. You're always supposed to go for the ball as a secondary, even as a linebacker coverage. You have every right to that ball. You're actually a wide receiver as well. Really, you're a receiver as well as the receiver. They don't teach that concept anymore. And we would practice. I mean, my wife we did 2 hours of that stuff, and you had guys like, looking at that. No, gotta look at the quarter. Then you start developing that feel for, like I wouldn't line up always 10 yards or 5 yards, or it depends too. It depends. We had jamming drills too. We had to jam receivers at the line. And we worked with the offensive linemen. Offensive linemen would give us some techniques to use as defenders, how to jam the guy, different jam techniques. If the guy's gonna, you just learn how to do it, and then you learn how you get burned, and the wide receiver works on how not to get jammed, and it just makes everybody better. Do they even do jamming drills in your high school anymore? Do you guys practice jamming? No,
Nope.
Nobody. Yeah. How do you hone those skills if you're not practicing? I
mean,
love that.
that's the one thing that I do is coverage responsibility is my number one responsibility. Correct gap assignment play is my number one responsibility.
Well, and that to me, the gap idea is people can relate to a gap assignment, but to me,
but it's the feel of the gap assignment. It's having the feel of what you
because
exactly.
there's
That's why that is what I drive home each and every time that I do this. Gap feel. The gap assignment.
Because there's a certain flow to when the ball's put in motion. There's a certain flow, and in a variety of different combinations.
You have certain. Let me bring up Fred Warner, for example. His gap assignment feel is top tier. That's why I believe he's the best linebacker in the league right now. Because his gap assignment in this field for the middle of the field and where to go is, I mean, dude, there is a play that he did. It was a running play to the left side this past week, and it was just he was right there. I mean, it was like you blink and you would have been like, oh, he got tackled. Like it was the feel of where he needed to go was just second to none. It was crazy. And I'm like, you don't get that anymore. Same with corners. When Champ Bailey played, when Darrelle Revis played, those guys, it was the feel of their side of the field and understanding the aspect of where to be was second to none. I mean, you wouldn't even think about that because they were so good at it.
Exactly. I showed you a clip and unfortunately you can't see the L22 on those old reels, but I showed you Mel Blount. And what is Mel Blount doing? I showed you what Dion was. What's Mel Blount doing? Is he looking right at Roger Staubach? It was the Super Bowl. Is he looking at, is he going 10 yards off and looking at his guy the whole time? Or is he just focused right on Roger Staubach?
He's focused on Staubach.
He's focused right on Staubach. That's how they taught it. That's why you don't get the jumping of the routes you used to always get.
You get the Patrick Surtains now.
Yeah, and in a way, I can't even blame these guys because they're just not developed. How do you? Okay, you'll go back to your linebacking. How do you get a guy to think about the gap assignment?
Repetition.
You can't just do it all. You can't just write X's and O's on a board.
It's repetition. It's repetition. Repetition.
Yes. I would love to start a secondary school, but they'd probably, screw it up at the high school level. What are you doing? I'm doing what was done a long time ago before you people ever got here and started coaching. I'm doing it the right way. Oh, I don't know about that. Really, it's tough. It's tough. I think people that liked what they saw, I don't think understood what they saw. Now they're coaching. You're coaching. You probably see stuff. You can't say anything.
I can't. Nope.
Not until you get into the position.
All I can say is voice my concerns, and that's all I can do.
Yeah, in a diplomatic way.
Correct. Not the bucket man way.
No. Okay, let's go talk about Chicago.
The game that nobody wants to watch.
Do you blame them?
No, I don't.
God, it's like, can we please watch Miami and Buffalo? Of course you'd want to see that. I don't want to see these two dogs go at it with each other. So I watched film of Chicago. Did you get to watch any of the all 22 on Chicago?
I did bits and pieces of some of it. I mainly watched the the middle linebacking and the offensive line. The defensive line sucks. They get no interior. They're just like the Broncos D line. They get no.
Well, let's face, they're going up against the Broncos versus the Kansas City Chiefs. Because I watched.
Their defensive line is very poor. I mean, I like the linebackers for Chicago, Tremaine Edmonds and T.J. Edwards. Those guys are very good players. Tremaine Edmonds.
I mentioned the sideline to sideline ability of that team that I liked. I said, but minus that, they look like the Broncos.
Correct.
Yeah, find that sideline to sideline.
But you know what? At least I gotta give Chicago this. At least they value inside linebacking play. Just saying. I wish the Broncos.
Well, somebody did it one time.
Stratosphere. Yeah, that is true. But I think the offensive line for Chicago's is way better than Denver's. I think that their offensive line has improved incrementally. I think Justin Fields is
this is my take. I think Justin Fields is a victim as much as maybe a problem, because
correct.
I don't think that they're making this. I'm not talking running spread concepts and this kind of stuff. He's capable as a throwing type of. He has the capability. He does. But what they should do is the same thing we've said about the Broncos. Is goes to them too. There's no difference. They should not. They're cutting his nose off to spite his face. Instead of all these deep routes, they keep trying to. I don't know why. Yes, you've got an offensive line, but Kansas City their secondary is actually they're doing man to man, and it's a lot better than anything that ever saw with the Broncos. They were doing a lot of man to man on that particular day.
Well, I again, this is counterintuitive right here. DJ Moore is there for the Chicago. He's their number one receiver. He played for Carolina last year. That receiver that was eating up Patrick Surtain.
Oh, yeah.
I again, if everybody's going, Patrick Surtain's going to lock down DJ Moore, I would rethink that narrative that you're pushing that out, because
he had last year's tape, right? Go play last year's tape. But but for Chicago and Fields, I think they need to take a page out of what we've been talking about. Do the short, intermediate stuff and set it up the longer stuff. I don't know why you want to play Shermer ball. I don't know what the obsession is with that. Obviously the guy's struggling. Help him out a little bit, right? I'm not just saying the Bronco game. I'm saying in general. Start that short to intermediate stuff and set up get him in a rhythm. That's again. It's all repetition again. It's all repetition.
And you can run on this Broncos defense. I've been saying it. Attack those edges.
But that's not what I saw with Chicago.
Exactly. That's something. Right. You're right. Yep.
I like the running back. He's got good vision, but they're an A and B gap attack team, and that's the Broncos' strength. So the one thing the Broncos has been good at is attack is stopping.
Has it though? I mean, really, can we sit there and really say that it has? Because
that's the only thing that they've been good at.
I would beg to differ on that, because over the past 3 weeks, I've seen it get incrementally worse.
I wouldn't hang my hat on it, but I would like to see Chicago attack the edges a little bit.
Gregory, yes. Burrito. I mean, those guys are terrible.
What I'm saying is, I'm not saying don't attack them. What I'm saying is, don't just make that the only part of your running game.
No, exactly. You need what I saw. The one thing that I think that Chicago can take away from the Dolphins is those counter blocks that they use. I mean, the fullback, they have a fullback. I mean, Alex Ingle, the way they used him in motion in those counter blocks was just so impressive. I said that in my film breakdown on my channel. I said the way they use Alex Ingold is like one of the best things to watch is how they use their fullback. That's something that Chicago can take something, but the way that they pulled their guards, I think that's something Chicago can pull from Miami. But also, I think you can't just rely on those edge running game. You have to be creative in the way you do it. You have to be creative in if you're going to throw the football, attack the middle, man. That middle of the field is going to be wide open.
I was going to say they should get some of their tight ends involved.
Cole sorry, my apologies. Cole Kmet, Notre Dame tight end. Good possession receiver, not the greatest athlete, but a good, solid. He reminds me of Austin Hooper, who plays for the Raiders now. Just a big physical tight end, doesn't have great long speed, but a good possession type receiver that could be a guy in the middle. I would do that.
Yeah, you need some completions. You need some.
Get him going. Yep.
Yeah, and do some drag routes. This kind of thing. Don't just keep.
With Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool, DJ Moore.
Yeah,
Use DJ Moore in those underneath routes on Surtain. That's
don't
exactly what I would do.
Don't make them long cross routes. Just make long fade. Skinny post. Shorten it up a bit. Get so he can get rid of that ball quicker.
And then you can hit your home run ball on Justin Simmons' side of the field because he's going to give it up.
Yeah, it's given up before it's given up. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Well, the announcer said that. Look at the space he's given. He goes, I've been pounding the table. I've been saying that. I said, all you have to do as an offensive coordinator is look at this guy's playing goalie for Manchester United. Okay, he's given up all this real estate. Man, that's where you go with. What was not to see? You should be attacked, and they do. Of course, I'm saying that they do attack that every time. And that's why Justin Simmons does not get voted by his peers because by God, if I start actually having to make hits, I could get injured. Then why are we wasting our time with you? But I'm a spokesperson for the fun charity, that's great. And, I think Simmons would make a good broadcast booth guy. He really would. He'd make a good game show host. He'd make a really good game show host. He's just not a safety. He's not he's just not that good. So go and get yourself to the broadcast booth. But we got Yell. Turner Yell.
That's another scouting department miss that I tried telling folks.
And then we got a corner that really should be playing safety, right?
Yeah, Damari Mathis.
Yeah, the guy should be playing safety, not corner.
But we knew it all along, so.
Yeah, we knew it. How long did the Marty Mathis celebration last? Remember how oh my God, you guys are so dumb. Mathis is so good. How long did that last?
Not very long.
You can't even make this stuff up. You just
can't take them serious, man. I don't understand why we're taking I don't understand it, but whatever. Bubble Man and his buddy should get married.
I know. We'll send those two off on a honeymoon together.
Yeah. Send them off to Colorado State Prison or something.
Well, just one would like that more than the other, I think.
Yeah, just kidding, Bubble Man.
We know you guys are having so much fun. So yeah, for me, I see Denver's offense able to get the kind of space that they need to complete passes, kick field goals. Running the football, I don't, Kansas City, they were okay, but Broncos run.
I think those linebackers could present some problems for the Broncos. Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards. Yeah,
if I was Sean Payton, I'd probably utilize some tight ends and again, the shorter work up to the longer.
12 player personnel, 3 tight end sets. That's something that I would do, but again, it wouldn't surprise me at all if Sean Payton sees that and they get really, really pass happy. And then, that keeps the Bears in the game. If they do that, dude, that's going to keep the Bears in the game.
That's what I think too. I was thinking that too. It is tempting. Well, I was watching the film on the Chicago, and I was thinking to myself, they're going to see all this real estate that the Bears are giving up on these routes, and it's going to be really tempting for that organization to go Shermer ball, and that could end up biting it because Wilson will have to wait a little bit longer to let those routes set up, and that could get them into some trouble. And like I said, I think Chicago has also circled this too, because they're in a must-win situation. I mean, people's jobs are on the line, and I just felt that what I saw on film with the Broncos versus Miami, that there should be a phone call, and the Broncos versus the Raiders and the Broncos versus the Commanders, that a phone call should be made by the Bears saying, you got to really knock this. You got to do something about this holding, because it's just, we're not going to put up with it. We're going to be vocal about it. You better call at least some of it, you know?
Yeah.
Because we got people's jobs on the line here. It's been bad. I saw that in the Raider, and you weren't even talking about the holding. We were talking about everything else, but you could see it. It's like, whoa. And then we saw it, obviously, and it got the Commanders ticked off. So, you know, like I said, I can see the Broncos becoming really past happy Shermer, and that coming back to bite them in the ass, because they didn't do what they should be doing. You know, the same thing Chicago should be doing, setting it up. You know, running the ball when you know at the right time, right play call for a running play. I'm not saying everything should just be the run, but I see if the Broncos could kind of refrain from being themselves, that they could pull out a win in this game.
Yeah, if they do the things that we've said and run the Sean Payton offense correctly, they have a chance of winning this game. But if they go 5 wide receiver sets and 20+ yards, I think that's going to play right into the Bears' hands.
Eventually, yeah, I see them having some success with that, but again, because it's low percentage, it doesn't matter who you're. These are low percentage completions, you know, and they work great at the right time. But yeah, you know, if you keep going to the well and you haven't been doing anything else, Chicago could get right back into the game.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll be saying, we were just talking about this last week, or the day before the game, actually, I should say.
Yeah, and we can just say we knew it was going to happen.
Yeah.
We knew all along.
That it could happen. I mean, it could.
Yeah, it could happen, and we knew this all along. So
I mean, I do like the
Just
Broncos
kidding.
offense better if it could actually be what it's capable of being. If they
not in this organization.
I know, and now it's just like, oh, you know, well, we will show you. Yes, you get that feeling they just want to show everybody. Oh, we got a bad defense. We're gonna just show them.
Yeah, specifically us, you know.
And then it's like, yeah, you know, this front office has to go.
It does. They gotta purge that. They gotta purge the team and purge the front office.
Yeah, I don't care if they beat this team by 99.
Oh, I don't care either, because I mean you're still you got the Bears and the Jets, and then after that it's a gauntlet again.
You guys say after the Jets. I think the Jets is a buzzsaw waiting to happen.
Oh, defensively.
Well, I'm going to let you know this. I can guarantee you that Nathaniel Hackett is not going to put Zach Wilson in situations where.
Oh, no. He's going to want this game bad, just like Fangio and Mike McDaniel.
Yeah. He's not going to put Zach Wilson into throwing flutter balls to Justin Simmons. So, yeah, they're going to be coming with their axes ground down. Ready to swing them. Even though Rodgers isn't there, I'm still interested in this game.
Oh, so am I. Absolutely.
Well, you got anything else?
Nope, that's it for me.
All right, me too. So, sayonara. I'll talk to you on. I guess the only thing I could do is something on Tuesday. I don't know. You're probably up to you're probably at it.
No, I'm off Tuesday.
Well, maybe we can talk about it Tuesday. You know.
Yep. So I'm gonna go back to my mother's basement. So
I'll take out the trash just in a minute.
Yep.
I'm wrapping it up. Mom, don't you see the on-air light? Mom?
She knew it all along, but she still came in here. So
she is producing the show after all.
Yeah. We're getting paid by our mothers right now.
But we do have one advantage, that we don't have to, get paid and take crap from the front office. We can tell it like it is. That's the most rewarding part of all of this, that we fearless podcasting.
Absolutely. Top tier podcasting, but we knew that all along. So
yeah. Top of the podcast to you.
Yep.
All right, I'll let you go.
All right, take care.
You too. Sayonara.